6:30, so I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. And still want to mention, this COVID stuff, folks, is not going away. I know all of us probably know people that's been affected by it. And I was at a friend's funeral Friday that passed away with it. And was talking with her husband today, and it's we need to always keep these people in our prayers, because it is serious, and sometimes it hits a little closer to home, and then you think. So let me lead us in just an opening prayer for our city and for all this that's going on. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to come into you and lifting up our prayers to you, Father. And Father, I know it's been so many in our community that has been infected by this pandemic, Father. And Father, I pray for protection for all of our people, Father. And I pray for those that are suffering with it. And I pray for every family that has had a loved one to pass away during this time, Father. And Father, I just pray for all the business that we conduct tonight. I pray that we would give honor and glory to you. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. First order of business, of course, is to adopt the agenda. Herbie's here and he makes that motion.
A second.
Nicole seconds. Taking it, you.
One edit, 20 and 22 are actually the same item. Or I'm sorry, 20 and 22.
Okay, yeah, we just 20 and 22 the same. Okay, we had a motion and a second to adopt the agenda, and we'll just combine those two items when we get to them. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, I will declare now that we're in a hearing for the budget. Is anyone, any alderman, any person that's here tonight have any questions about the budget?
I had one citizen ask about the portion of the Parks and Rec budget, which is in this new budget, it's 45,000, right about. Proportionally, how much of that is for a park director role versus other park costs?
Okay, I think we had approved 30 hours a week at 10 hours, $10 per hour, I believe. But I think that was the, so that would roughly be $300 a week if they worked their full 30 hours. Of course, I mean, 50 weeks.
So it's about $15,000. Okay.
Yes. Any other questions about the budget? Okay, if not, I would entertain a motion that we accept this 2021 budget. And of course, we will have to come back 1 week from today for 5:15 to do the final on it. But we actually vote tonight to accept it, or
we can accept it as presented, but we can't adopt it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. We can vote to accept it as presented, but we can't adopt it
September the 8th.
till next week. So I would entertain a motion that we accept it as printed and presented. Okay. Kagan made that motion. Herbie seconds here. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. And while I think it will be a special meeting at 5:15, September the 8th, and that will be to adopt the budget so we can get it to the state by the 15th. Okay. All right. Next item is the minutes. We have time to look over the minutes, and I know there was a couple meetings.
I had an item, the minutes, our vote on the Teresa Hobson property was to have the city clean it up. and the minutes still read that we were going to place a dumpster.
Okay, we can correct that. And Ms. Hobson came earlier tonight thinking she was still on the agenda, but I was by there even again today. They have cleaned up, it's not 100%, but they have done a really good job of cleaning. Had some family members come in, and so right now I don't think we need to take any further action on them. But I told them I was going to keep an eye on them, and hopefully they'll keep it clean. Told them to keep that grass cut and keep the trash picked up and all. So, but we will correct that in the minutes.
So they are still continuing to clean up?
They are continuing to clean up, and like I said, it looks just 100% better, but it's not, not where we really want it, but it's really, really good. About the only thing left is some toys right up against the trailer there, but all the outline and the grass has been cut. All that trash has been moved. They still have one dumpster there that they're putting stuff in. So,
Okay,
and all that old wood and stuff they've taken care of, and they've done a lot of work. So,
great.
okay. Anything else on
Did we advertise for a rubbish truck or a rubbish truck driver? I thought it was for a driver.
driver?
Okay. And so right now it reads truck.
Anything else in the minutes? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as,
Sorry.
Daniel.
Just if you could insert the dates of when the reverse auction began and ended. And that was it.
Okay. Daniel just wanted to insert the date on the reverse
And the
auction
time also.
Yeah.
for the,
Time, yeah.
and the time for the reverse auction on the garbage cans. Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
I make that motion.
Nicole makes that motion. Herbie's here and he seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That- Okay, next will be the monthly bills.
I had a few things. There were 2 months of our legal fees this month. Is that just a timing of this docket?
That's right.
Yes,
Okay, and then I was just curious, there was some overage from our base legal costs. What did we have our legal folks doing in July that went above and beyond?
there was some ordinances and
When we were pulling the itemized timesheet. We had the hearing on the city park races was
Oh,
one
yeah.
thing that happened in July.
yeah.
And I can't remember the other thing off the top of my head. Hold on, I might be able to pull it up.
He's looking for the additional billing hours on that.
But I know that was one of the issues.
I know we've had a lot of special meetings and probably,
Did you have?
Yeah, we
And
had
I think it was the mask ordinance. It was the mask ordinance and the
the mask ordinance was part of it that he was writing, and
and then the meeting about the police officer. And
one special meeting in July, 2 in August.
I think we had two.
Maybe it was 2 in
We
July.
did have to.
2 special meetings in July, 1 in August.
okay. Then we had 2 fire rebate deposits come in.
That's right, it comes two parts. One of it is for a code. You have to kind of. And one of them is just for the regular municipal fire protection. Why they separated and they call it the code, that's all I know. It's a small amount.
Are we finished with the creek cleanup project? I saw we had 3 weeks of,
Yes.
great. And then after our going through the budget process in the last month and hearing from the state that one of the programs in town that I love this program, but the city is the primary funder of it. And right now it's kind of a mess. It's behind on its dues and its paperwork and training requirements with the state. I would like to pause the funding to the Main Street organization until someone from the board can come and tell us that they are back in compliance with the state. I'd like to propose that we do that with this month's docket.
Okay, you put that in form of a motion?
I can do that. I would move that we approve the docket as listed with the exception of our funding of the Main Street program, pending someone from the board of Main Street presenting their plan to get back into compliance with the state organization.
Okay.
Are you asking to hold this check?
Yes.
Payment?
Yes. He makes the motion that we approve the document minus that until someone from the board comes and addresses some issues with the Main Street. Okay, so we have that motion. Do we have a second? Herbie seconds. Any discussion on it? Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. And we will contact Mickey or someone for the board.
I believe it needs to be someone from the board. The level of issues with the state needs to be addressed by a board member, not an employee of the organization.
Okay, all right. All right. The next item would be Mickey. And he's not present here, and I do not see him.
There's a ski howl.
That's probably David using his wife's phone. I think. That's Howell, yeah. Okay. So we will just move on. And I don't think we had anything that was brought to the Planning Commission this month.
No, sir.
It was not. And I think the only Historic Preservation Commission thing, they did approve of signage.
Oh, some kind of
For,
form. They want to change their form.
And a form that they were going to. Cinnamon, did you? I'm sorry I don't have those minutes with me, but they did.
Didn't do any minutes.
Oh, that's right. They want to change one form up that they're going to put out to the public, but I think that was the only thing. They did not forward any minutes, but and I think actually the signage was approved at their last one for the Hendricks
Yes, sir.
venue and steakhouse. So I don't think there's any action we need to take on them. Okay, next on it is a pretty confusing thing. if you had a chance to read this, the Municipal Democratic Party to be established. And Daniel, I'm gonna let you try to address this. I will say that, we've always had a county Democratic committee that has handled kind of the city elections. And the county says that we have to have our own commission now. So you want to address this, Daniel?
Well, it's voluminous, and you can look at I don't know who, so there's a handout that was provided, municipal election handbook, and it references several different statutes through it. And for example, one of them is 23-15-2, which means that there's roughly 200 entries before that one. And in essence, it speaks to the fact that once executive committee for the municipality is created, it needs to enter into a written agreement with the Municipal Election Commission and the municipal clerks as to what duties each one are going to perform. The issue that we have is the creation of that committee from the beginning. Now there's a municipal party executive committee, and then there's a municipal election commission, and then of course the city clerk. So once that initial committee is formed, then we'd have to get with them as to what duties everyone's going to perform as to appointment of poll managers, training of the poll managers, distribution of the ballot boxes, printing the ballots and distribution of ballots, and
Does this mean
canvassing.
our circuit clerk won't do that anymore?
No, he will still allow us to use the machines and print the ballots for us, but someone has to certify an election also. The county has always kind of certified our
I
election.
go into an agreement with
Yeah.
them.
Our city clerk with the county Democratic Committee has been certifying our elections. They will no longer really certify our elections. They said the city has to have their own committee to certify and to quote hold the election.
With
Do we
my
have time to
Yeah, of course,
complete it before the fall election?
No, I don't think that's. I think no, because the fall election, my understanding, of course, is a federal and state
that has
election.
nothing to do with what we're
So
doing.
the county will handle the fall election, but next year is our city elections.
And it
2020.
takes time, so we just wanted to get it started.
Yeah, so
I mean, do we have the municipal election commission? And
We have 3 of those.
who are they?
Bonnie Cox, John Harrison, and Jerry Hill.
Okay. All right.
and I believe the proper way to form this committee the first time would be for each alderperson to nominate someone from their ward or from Herbie's case, wherever in the city. And we bring those names back to the board. Of course, I would, if I were y'all, I would ask these people if they'd be willing to serve on that.
Well, I mean, that's another. Each executive committee has as many members as their elected officers of the municipality. So I mean, we have 6 technically.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I
So
would have
you and Irby would, and
we'd
then
have to.
and they're supposed to be elected.
You
The
can
first
appoint
ones
them
you can
first.
appoint. After that, they would have to also be on the ballots to be elected. And,
They would have to be on the May ballot.
yeah. It's,
It's
We're gonna let
it's time
Daniel
consuming.
continue
It's
to,
not just something- that's why I want to go and get it started.
to look at this, but I would say go ahead and start thinking about someone from your ward and asking them if they'd be willing to serve on this committee. And if they would.
It needs to really be in place by March 1st, honestly.
Yeah.
When qualifying's over.
We just need to get the process started, and so I don't think we need to take any action on it tonight. We just need to let y'all start thinking about the process, and Daniel is going to try to interpret this according to the state statutes.
So this is, the nominee would be for the municipal election committee. Is that right?
Democratic.
Democratic Election Committee. Okay.
Is there a Republican election committee?
No.
We have never had Republican primaries in the county. I mean,
I
in
think
the
it
city.
has to kind of fall along with the county, what they have.
And
At one point,
Told that if they wanted to create one, if people wanted to get together and create a Republican one, they could do that.
they probably could.
yeah, I mean,
I don't think there's anything to stop it.
It's all about if people are interested from the public to carry those duties out.
Okay, but at a minimum, we need to have one. Is that?
one per
One person.
ward, and Herbie, and as Daniel said, myself would have to appoint 2 members also. So. Okay, so
Because the
Sorry.
Democrat, Peggy, to answer your question, I think, because
No, I was,
the county's Democratic. That's why we're doing a Democratic one.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, follows the county.
Because you've got to have a chairperson to call it.
But there can be both. If somebody wants to head up a Republican one as well, they can do that on their own.
That's right.
We don't have to do that for them.
That's correct. So start talking to some of you people that be willing to do it. And there will be some little responsibilities to go along with this too, of course, because, you know, it could get into a contested election or something like this, and you got to certify and look at it and all this. So,
And I will be assisting them.
Question. Do Oakland and Coffeyville have their own as well for their city elections?
according to the chairman of the county, they have to form them also. At one time, I believe actually Oakland may have had one because I know one of the ladies that served on the county, I think they had one.
And we've had them before.
Yeah,
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, we did.
yeah. So we, like I said, as long as we can start getting some names willing to serve, and Daniel will advise us, make sure that we can appoint. I don't see any other way around it. If they've got to kind of, quote, hold the elections next year,
Right.
how are they going to be elected? You know, so I think it has to be appointed the first time. And I reckon the board could elect them.
If this committee has to be in place by March, when do we need to have our names? Are we going to revisit this next month and come back with our names, or like what's our time period
Yes.
to have our
I think yes, we need to address it the next month, and and if we don't have a full committee at that time, even the next month, make sure by year's end, I think we could surely come up with people to serve.
So this is,
Okay.
and so this is one of the nitpicky things that I'll have to make sure that applies to municipalities also, but it says there be any political party or parties in any county without a party executive committee, which is what we're talking about. Such political party or parties shall select qualified electors of that county and of that party's political faith to serve on a temporary county executive committee until the members of the county executive committee are elected at the next regular election for executive committees. So our temporary ones will just serve until the next election, which is when we would put them all up for election.
They would qualify to run if someone actually wanted to run for that position, you know, next year. Okay.
I mean, we'll dive into that later.
Yeah. All right. So that really doesn't take any action except just action on y'all's part to start selecting people. Okay. The next item is to rename a street. Someone asking to rename a street. Sharon Rogers. As many of y'all know, Miss Percy Lee Rogers, who lived over on Fly Street, passed away. And her children are wanting the street renamed for her. Miss Percy was a fine lady, I get that. But my own opinion, of course, and I'll allow each one of y'all to speak on it. But if we start renaming streets, what about the next great person that passes away that lived on that same street? Are we going to turn then say, well, we got to rename it again? And I mean, that's just my opinion, but so I'll let y'all speak on this matter. She is suggesting to rename Fly Street the Percy Lee Rogers Street. So.
Street that's already been named and established for the city of Waterville.
Herbie just said his opinion. He didn't think that we ought to start getting into business renaming streets, but so anyone else?
We've done this once in the last 3.5 years for a street that had only one house on it. This,
Yeah.
I drove down this street and there were a number of people live on this street. And I think it would be a different conversation if the whole community on that street came and had a proposal. But I don't think we could take action when one person or even a small group from a street that would impact a lot of other folks.
All right.
Mm.
I don't think that other
I
street
agree.
It was.
Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah. Anyone else?
we have an upcoming item where the whole street got together and is making a request, and that
Yeah.
felt very different. There was a
Yeah, this,
communal request.
yeah.
You might want to do a petition in the area and get names, and
Mhm.
I think that would be the best approach as well.
So I'll just say that I don't think we even need an emotion, nor that it would any.
Just died.
We'll just table it. If they bring it back later with a petition or something like that, we'll address it. But right now, we'll just no action taken. It just dies right now on our table for right now. Okay. The next item is the bank quotes for the trash cans. We have from Renaissance and Mechanics. I think y'all have those in front of you probably. Mechanics did 3% for 4 years, or 3.25 for 5 years. And the Renaissance bid 3.19 for 5 and did not bid on a 4 year.
I was trying to remember, we broke the cost of the containers across, was it 4 years or 5 years?
I thought we did it for 4. It's what, $1.30 per month, $1.33 or $1.35. So I think it was around 1,500 cans.
Yep.
It's $1.35
It was over 4 years.
over 4 years. So
So I think my opinion would be we go with the lowest interest rate over 4 years, because that increase will pay them off in 4 years.
yeah, so that would be 3% at Mechanics Bank.
Right.
So would entertain a motion then to accept the quote from Mechanics Bank on the trash cans at 3% for 4 years. Cinnamon makes that motion. Herbie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Notify Mechanics. Okay, next item is water and sewer. David. David is here, and this is one on Peach Hill right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, sure.
No.
Lift station.
What is it? That's visually Wood Street, right? All right, this is for the lift station on Wood Street.
No, Blackburn.
Blackman, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Simmons Garage.
Yeah, out there right next to Simmons Garage. We call it Pea Sheller, but there's 2 quotes to replace and 2 quotes,
That's one quote.
1 quote to repair. We couldn't,
2 quotes.
there were 2 on 1 actually. Yeah, yeah. When it's 15 horsepower, David?
Yes.
There's 15 horsepower pumps.
$6,075 to fix it, and $6,963 to replace it with a brand new one with a 5-year warranty.
So,
I think that's a no-brainer.
yeah, so,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the quotes. The other quote was for $9,973 for a new pump.
the 6963 was from Hydro Service, and the other was from
That's the most,
Electric Motor Sales. Like I say, it's quite a bit of difference in the pricing for a new one. And again, to fix it, 69 or 6,700. So when you buy the new one, you get the warranty. So,
Motion to buy the new pump for $6,900.
okay. Have a motion. Herbie seconds here. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is
Can I-
unanimous.
Can I make a request of David? Because our equipment is falling down. Like it seems like every 2 months we're buying, actually this is every month now, the lime spreader.
Yeah.
Could we start working on a list of all the water and sewer components around the city and how old they all are? So we can get an idea of like what's coming, what is at the end of its life expectancy.
Yes.
Yeah, he can get us a list where every pump is located. That one out there, if I remember right, it's about 12 years old. Because
Yeah.
I think it was installed when I first got on the board about 12 years ago, I think. So,
It feels like anything that's over 10 years, we need to have a replacement plan.
yeah.
Normally 8 years will be your lifespan on a lift station pump. That's an average is 8 years. So getting 12 out of it is pretty good. 8
Yeah.
years, but you need a plan to get another, or have something in place.
We'll let him start getting a list of where everyone's located and the age as best as we can tell. And,
Thank you.
all right, so that passed, right? Okay, the next item is, we're actually gonna do, there's two on here, beer permit, for Hendrick Steakhouse and for Wiggly's, being in the same building, going under two different, names. Of course, one will be Hendrick's LLC and the other one is Wiggly's LLC, but in the same location. He's met all of his requirements as far as the state has concerned. So all we need to do is just approve his permits for beer.
Motion to approve the permits?
Hagan makes the motion. Simmons, no, is that Nicole?
Yeah.
I look down. Nicole second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you. I told Jason he needs to have a soft opening for that steakhouse and invite all of us, but he didn't bite on it yet. So
So you're still gonna work on.
I'm still working on it, right? Yeah. Okay, next thing is airport grant agreement, and let me make
Well, we've got an opportunity under the package that came out through the federal government back in May to qualify to receive a small amount to improve our airports. And we've already applied for that grant, and we have been preliminarily approved to receive that monies whenever we find a purpose. It's not, we have to come up with a purpose for it, but other than that, if the board would approve the city's entering into that grant and ratify the mayor's and mine basically applying for that grant on behalf of the city, then we can move forward with that.
Can we make a request that that money go towards extending the runway?
I don't think it will be that much. It'll be a very small grant.
I think it's what, $1,000?
Yeah, it's just like $1,000 grant. I mean, it's, we can find a use for it out there, of course, but you know.
Yeah. Before we build any
We're
more
on a,
numbers.
yeah, we're kind of on a list, you know, where they rotate that monies. So eventually, we will be back in line for a large grant. This one's through the part of that emergency funding stuff. And,
Yeah, it was part of the stimulus package that
Yeah.
was released due to the COVID response.
yeah, but we would still be on the federal aviation list too when our time comes back around. They rotate those between all the small airports, but we'll of course be on that list. But I would entertain a motion to allow me to enter into that agreement to
Our application for it.
yeah. Hurry makes the motion.
Second?
Second.
Kagan seconds. All in favor?
Uh,
All right, thank y'all. The next thing, just for your information, Vivian says she's going to close the office on Labor Day. So couldn't talk her out working. So, yeah. All right, the next item will be Mark talking about the grant on COVID and on CARES, COVID/CARES. Again, this grant, I think it's probably anybody that's gone online knows that we are on the list for a lot of monies if we qualify up to that amount. But we have to apply for those grants. So,
Like I've talked to y'all about before. Hey, what I've talked to y'all about before is FEMA is a reimbursement program for the COVID-19. We're declared a disaster for the country. So they have money, if you spend it the right way, that they will repay you 75% of what you bought. Now, what we have from the CARES Act is what the federal government gave the states. And so I don't know the exact dollar amount. It's 79,000 and something that's been awarded to Water Valley, the municipality. Now that's not 79,000 that we go and spend. That money is for when we buy something or we apply through FEMA to get reimbursed for something we spent for COVID. FEMA pays 75%. That 79,000 is to help pay the 25% left over. So Kagan has the calculator. He knows it pretty good. But if we spent around $315,000 and got it reimbursed from FEMA, that $79,000 would make it zero out of our pocket.
Wow.
Like an example, and I'm strictly using it as an example. I'm wanting to do it, but we're looking at a sign for in front of the fire station and police station. If that sign does public service announcements and helps with the health of Water Valley, that's an approved expense. And we have a handler from FEMA that when we talk to them, they say, yes, this will be an approved expenditure or not. So we know ahead of time before we spent the money that they're going to approve it. But let's say the sign costs $30,000. It's not that much, but let's just say it did. They would pay 75% of the $30,000, and the rest of out of that 79, we would pay our 25%. Turnouts is the same way. Anything, and on the CARES Act, they give you a list of things that are approved or not approved for that money. And that's basically a copy of what FEMA set as the guidelines for what the COVID money can be spent for. So if COVID approves it, then the CARES Act will approve it, and then we do really good. So the big thing is for us to get on to the CARES Act and see, and Vivian has it, she sent it to me, but I'm sure she probably sent it to y'all. Look at the things that you think that we can use or assign it to me, however you want to do it. But I mean, this is money sitting on the table for us to use. I can buy new turnouts with it. And it turns around, it doesn't cost us anything for the turnouts once we've gotten both sides of the coin. So that was just to let you know about that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We do need to put in the minutes that we have can apply for these grants, because I think it's actually will be two sides to it. And I believe part of that also will be reimbursement for salaries that we have had quite a few people off the COVID and in quarantine. Right now, I think we're down to one or two. We got two out right now, I think, still. So But I would entertain a motion to allow us to apply for these grants for the COVID and the CARES Act for
Make
reimbursement.
the motion.
All right, Nicole makes that motion. Simmons seconds, all in favor.
Aye.
That is unanimous. All right. The next item is the 8th Street petition. I think y'all got copies of that. 8th Street is a one-way street now, but the one-way is from Panola to P Street. And I think this wants to reverse. And if anybody comes down there, you know, if you try to pull out on Dupee, coming from Panola, you can't see the direction. So we have the petition, and I don't know if Mr. Lawson is.
Sitting in for, I'm sitting in.
Okay. Did I explain that the way y'all are wanting to reverse the traffic and make it one way from Dupee to Panola?
You did, yes.
Okay. And like I said, I think everyone that would be affected by that has signed a petition asking us to do that.
That's correct. Everybody who has a driveway on Page Street has signed the petition.
Okay. So,
Motion to approve that proposal.
okay, we have a motion to approve it. Herbie seconds here. All in favor?
Aye.
Does that mean we need to buy new signs or we just turn them around?
We can swap them out. Do what? Yeah, we probably do need to buy some new ones that can be seen, but I'll get with Michael on that and he can get it reversed, the traffic reversed there. All right, that motion passed. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is Mr. Fox, and Mr. Fox is here tonight. And
Well, everybody knows most of why I'm here. But first thing, since you are cleaning up the street, will you send Mr. Stragan up there on Fairview tomorrow, see what's the problem here? Before I got them lots down there, you ought to see the gutters floated up the hill. He knows what house is coming from, and I imagine you do too. Something needs to be done about that. One person messing up that part of the neighborhood, and the other part is that old Bowler McLeod house. You know where that's at?
on the corner.
Yeah.
Who owns that now?
Who knows? Grass. I got a snake out of it last month when I called for you to come up there. I want to show you the snake.
Okay.
Grass.
What street is, excuse me, what
It
street is
should
that?
be
Corner of
793 Martin Street, that night. And Fairview. Right down the hill from my house, take a right. You gonna trip out. You just look over on my land. I got 4 or 5 lots on the left there. When it rained the other night and the wind blow, all that trash over there.
Get on the Martin side. Martin.
Tell them what I'm talking about.
It's right on the corner of, isn't that Calhoun coming up through there?
No, this Daniel Street, Daniel Drive.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about
my house.
the other one, yeah,
That'll be
yeah,
Fairview. When
yeah.
you make that right turn now,
Mhm.
down there before I got the antique at, you make a right turn now. And you will see it. It's just so much garbage there. Okay.
Is there any reflection on that from the board before we move on to the next thing? Y'all just want me to look into it, or?
Yeah,
Just watch.
we'll find out the owners of the old Butler house and, you know who owns it now?
They paying, if they done took that electricity bill off for that, they already got the address where they want to.
Yeah.
So do we need to schedule a hearing
next
on that property?
I need to get the address and we need to, we'll have notified the owner of that property. But,
Does that require a motion to schedule a hearing?
No,
not until we locate the person
Ain't gonna be
and
hard
can
to
give them
locate.
a notice. They have to be notified, then we can schedule a hearing, after they're notified. Okay.
Next thing, I know for sure 15 years ago, I was still asking for the same thing. Right there, when you go in that curve by the bound house,
Mhm.
how you had to go all the way around on one side. I imagine you had to go around that side with all that hump there. Just before you make it to the elementary school. That's unsafe for them children. I've been preaching that. There's been several wrecks that
In that curve
Yeah.
there.
I know by now somebody could be and fix that. As long as I did that type of work.
Okay, so something, the street that broke up
That
there or
old
something.
tree, and the tree on your outcrop. The man that lived there gave me permission to tell you all, even when Larry Hart was here, it was okay to cut the tree down. The roots ain't got under that. It messed cars up when they come through that and there's nothing coming from the other way.
I know where that is. I'll go
Yeah,
look at
it's
it.
just unsafe. Now, my problem. Bro Martin looked me in the face the last time I was here. Back in the wintertime, took his glasses off and said, look at me. I never promised you this before. You remember?
I don't remember those exact words, but I remember
Oh.
the conversation.
Yeah. Take my word, you finna get your fence put up.
I don't remember saying that, but
Oh, well, go back. At that time, David Howland had you on camera.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
So we don't have to remember.
That's right. That's right.
Larry Hart told you all the money was here before he quit, right?
So, go ahead.
So I came after the money. I put the fence up, had somebody put it up. Said,
You did?
no, I
Oh.
will.
Oh.
I need the money. You all got the money. Probably join entry on it. Or have you been to Tuna?
No, sir. But what I have, so we got a quote for to build the
Months ago.
fence. And the problem was I needed a second quote. So I contacted Steve Lindsay, thank you, sir. And if you brought him in here, he'd attest to this, but I have asked him about it 3 or 4 times. And at one time it was because of the COVID and the school was out and what have you. And then the second time was that he came to my office, sat down and called the fence supplier to get the quote on the galvanized fencing. And they said, well, we'll get back with you. And so he said, okay, I'll call you back when I get it. So then I saw him at church and he said, man, they called me back and asked me for all that information again because they had lost where they wrote it down for me, but I got it to him and I should have it to you. And I tried reaching out to him yesterday about it because the mayor and I spoke about it. And I told him that was the last little link in the chain that we needed to put in place to finalize on who we were going to select to go down there and present to the board for them to make the final decision on to put it up or not. But that's all we needed was 2 quotes, and I got the one. I just need 1 more.
But that was back in the wintertime.
I agree.
When you got that.
Things have been a little crazy.
COVID don't have nothing to do with my problem. It's time for somebody. If you can't get it done, give me the money and I get it done.
I appreciate that.
All right, then. How long I had to wait? Because I called you the other day knowing that was your boy.
No, that was Shannon. Now, Shannon and I sounded like on the phone.
Okay, then.
No, hold on. Is there another fence? I mean, I like Steve Lindsay, and I'm sure he's trying. I'm not saying he's not, but is there somebody else we could get the second quote from?
Yes, we get one.
I think Brandon Brooks puts up fences.
Brandon Brooks does?
Yeah.
Okay, then there's, Michael says Oxford Fence Company.
Chad Newman too. Doesn't Chad Newman
Was that
do
something?
that? Fences too?
Chad gave us one estimate. That's the first estimate we had was from Chad Newman.
That's right.
And because of the amount, state law required 2 bids on the amount that it was. And but we'll contact Oxford Fence Company and Brandon Brooks, and we'll
Put it on the agenda for next month.
we'll put it in.
Please.
If you would go ahead and just put it on there.
I'm sick these days and I don't need no trouble.
Yes.
All right, you take care.
Okay, Dan, appreciate it.
All right. Okay. Jason?
The first one is just to buy a mobile radio for the latest Durango purchase we bought from Integrated Communications. I believe it's going to be below the amount required for the second quote. It's just kind of to come ask for permission. It's $4,570, and that's going to be installed. Yes, sir. They're the ones that have put in all the rest of them and serviced them.
So we'll separate these. So that's got the price there. I think y'all got that for the integrated communications radio for the Durango. Price of $4,570. So we'd entertain a motion for that one. Herbie makes a motion. We do that. Purchase that radio at $4,570. We have a second.
Second?
Taking seconds. Any questions or anything on that?
Is there any warranty on this equipment?
I'd have to double check the quote, Miss. Did I send you the actual quote, Miss Vivian?
I think normally it is.
I just had the email.
There is a warranty. I can't attest to how long it is. But
I think on the others it was 12 months, but I'm not sure.
it's either 1 or 3. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But I know that.
There is a warranty, but
Is this what that 3-year essential means?
Yes, ma'am. That's gonna be
3-year
a
warranty.
3-year on the motor.
3-year warranty. Okay, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor of purchasing the radio?
Aye.
All right, that is unanimous. And so then the second one is for,
The second one's gonna be for new bullet resistant vest for the police department. They are a state contract item, and we're buying them off state contract at state contract pricing. The total for 9 will be $8,730, and that should be able to get everybody in a new one when they come in. They are a 60-day lead time. We're trying to buy them out of this budget year, so make sure we get it, purchased before the end of this month.
Is that an item that could come under the CARES Act or the
I would have to.
COVID-19?
I don't
I highly
think it
doubt
is,
it, but I would have to check and see.
I think the only way we could say is one got contaminated and we can't legally, say that really. So.
We have applied for the federal Patrick Leakey Bulletproof Vest Assistance Program. Actually applied for it back in March. Our application is still pending. Who knows how long it's going to continue to pend. So at this point, we got to a point we couldn't wait any longer to see if we got that assistance. But if we do get approved, you can pull your money out for 3 years. So even if we don't use it now, if we hire new officers in the next 3 years, we can still use that money to buy them fitted vests that actually are the right size. So it's not that the money's going to go to waste. We're just not going to be able to use it right now.
You got it in your budget?
Yes, sir. It's in the budget to purchase these as they are. I was just hoping to save a little and it's not going to pan out.
What is our process how long do we wait? Do we wait to buy a new vest for a new officer? And what do we do if they leave quickly? Is that just a sunk cost?
Well, yes and no. It's about the same size officer. You can reuse the vest. It's not as closely fitted as your shirt or suit coats, but if they're drastically different in size, you just have to buy a new one.
Is there a resale market? Can we sell one, but then we get officers.
You can, but not for near what it's worth or what you get out of it. Most of the ones they're wearing now are 10 to 15 years old. They have a 5-year warranty and a 5-year expected life. So it's just a chance we're taking.
Well, I want to commend you on buying a new vest for our officers because that's way overdue. And we've been talking about it for 3 years. So thank you so much, Jason, for taking the initiative.
I know that's been a high priority item for you, Sam.
Y'all had it in the budget for
priority
a
item
year.
for me. Yes, thank you so much.
We've worked hard to try to get the partnerships. Once I've drug it out, waiting, but it's to the point we just got to bite the bullet and go.
Well, they need them now.
Great.
Okay.
Just
So,
make that motion.
Harvey makes that motion, and I know Cinema's going to second that. And all in favor?
Aye.
And that is unanimous. So yes, you can do the PO. Okay, the next item would be the Brownfield District, and
I'm going to go on mute and fill my video.
go on executive.
Take it from you. Kagan had to leave,
Okay,
so because of the topic, so Kagan is now excused for the minutes purposes.
Even Kagan has excused himself. He has left the building.
Yeah, so he is absent. So the issue that we had last year when this was brought up was that the way that the flyer that was released from MDA stated was that the total taxes that were collected from a district went back towards the 1.5 or 2.5 time rebate that the redeveloping business gets as a part of its remediation to the brownfield project. And so to recap, what that is there's a site in Water Valley that is environmentally damaged, then a company can go in and remediate that environmental damage so that the property can be used for further business purposes. Then they can apply to the state to receive those remediation expenses back plus 1.5 on top of that. So it's 2.5 return on the remediation. Of course, if it was something to the effect like a Walmart or something, well, that's an easy generator, or a Fred's or Dollar General or something like that. So that might be what we might get a request later on down the line for. I didn't think about that for the one, if that's true that Dollar General's planning to go in at that intersection, we might get a remediation request on that also. And so their percentage of their tax dollars that's generated from that new, from the remediation would then go back into to pay them back for that investment. It's not a bad plan. So that's the whole idea, is to incentivize companies to come in and take property that otherwise companies have written off because it's too expensive to improve, to get them to do so. And it's a great program. The issue was, as a city, as a small city, the language that was in the flyer that was put out by MDA states that all the tax revenue generated was to go back towards that incentivization program, which we wouldn't be able to afford that cut. And so after months and months and months of myself and the board of Everest going back and forth with MDA, their first point that they made was that if you read the statute, it says that business enterprises that are located in the location in the Brownsfield program district, their tax pennies go back to be funded towards that incentivization program. But then you have to go to the definitions. So that's where, on first glance, business enterprises, well, that means everything. Well, it doesn't. So you go to the definition, some lawyer must have drafted it, and the definition states that a business enterprise is a enterprise business that is locating or relocating to that area, which means it's a new business. It's not located, it's locating or relocating to that area. It's a very fine distinction, but it's a distinction and it's there. And further, so then I said, well, I still don't like, because I'm trying to protect you guys. So I said, I still don't like that the brochure says one thing and then they're saying that the statute says another. And I can see what they're talking about on the statute, but the brochure is playing on his face. So Kagan tried to get something in writing from him, but it just so happens that MDA is now a branch of the Attorney General's office. And so they don't want to give a written opinion as to, yeah, I don't, it's something screw with that. But they don't want to give a written opinion because basically the actions partly already began. So they don't want to go back and you see what I'm saying? Because the project's already started and there's already been action on it. You know, they can't give you an opinion as to past actions that you've already done, only future actions. So anyways, they said, we're not going to give you anything in writing, but we'll do a phone conference with you. So me and Everest did a phone conference last week, and Everest and I, and during that phone conference, we sat down and talked about it, and they made a fine distinction. One, she said, I've got her name, but it's not really pertinent, but they said that the brochure wasn't drafted by them or any legal people. It was just drafted by a firm that was like a promotional firm, somebody that they hired to create press for MDA. And so they weren't using the fine technical, with a fine tooth comb. They were just trying to put things out there that sounded good is one answer. And so I can see that to some extent. And but second, she said that we reiterated what I told you about the language. The definition is locating or relocating, not located. And like I said, that's a fine line. And then lastly, which is the one that really speaks to me because it's a common sense explanation, is she said that the Department of Revenue is not going to be able to they're not going to get this map and then take the time to sit down and go through and pick out all the employment identification numbers for all the businesses that are located in this map to put them in a separate column to say, okay, we're going to take their pennies. The only pennies they're going to take are from the EIN numbers that are sent to them. And the only EIN numbers that are going to be sent to them are the new businesses that are placed in that district. Well, that spoke my language. So in other words, she said, because I told her, I said, I called the Department of Revenue and talked to them about this program, and they're the ones that reinforced my idea that the brochure was right and that the people were just potentially interpreting the language of the statute wrong. And she said, well, there is another program, but this one isn't it. And that they probably just got it confused. She said, but really, she said, how are we going to comb through that district? And so, to be frank, what Everest is hoping for is that they're going to get somebody to occupy the back half of that building, because if you haven't done a walkthrough, the building is extremely massive, and they're still not using 1/3 of it. And so if they get a company in that back that somehow gets a sales tax off their 1/3, they could be generating tons and tons of money because it's a huge space. I mean, if they got a data farm that was providing services and somehow that attributed to some tax dollars. But because what she was saying, she being the representative of MDA, is that, typically it's somebody going in like a Dollar General or a shopping center or something to that effect, and they're doing a strip mall and they're taking this piece of property, and all those pennies from all those businesses selling shirts, sneakers, and candy, is pennies of that are going to come back to those companies. In this situation where we've got Everest and education purposes, who knows? They might not ever get any pennies. And part of the issue was Butler Snow was misleading certain representatives of Everest as to the potential benefits and profit, not profit's the wrong word, but gains that they would get from that program also. So once that conversation was over, I think everybody had a better understanding of the reality. But if somebody did come in that back and start selling things which tax, dollars are generated, sales tax dollars are generated, it would benefit them greatly. So asking us to reconsider creating a Brownsfield site district, and on further discussions with MDA, I can see the common sense argument, and I can see the statutory argument, and the fact that they're saying that somebody that the language that's so glaringly wrong was not prepared by attorneys or somebody actually, it was just a PR firm essentially.
I think bottom line is we won't lose any sales tax that we're getting now. If Everest were to generate future sales tax, that would go into the brownfield remediation. So
Or any of the, if any new company came into that
into
in that site and that map that I
Yeah.
sent you earlier today, in that yellow area, that those new tax dollars would go towards that incentivization program.
and that goes basically from Martin to North Court.
Mhm.
So, okay. Any questions for Daniel or any discussion on that? I think, like I said before, when it was introduced, we didn't have all the correct facts. So,
We were worried that it would just kind of all fall on Sprint Mart. Or, you know,
yeah, we
just
we
because
thought
that
we would
was
lose all that, right?
business in that area, so we didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
This is better.
Yeah,
It's
so
only
if
for
somebody goes,
business.
excuse me, I'm sorry. If somebody goes into where they're doing the drive-in movie theater, that would be a new business locating into that. And so those pennies would go.
Okay. Any other comments, discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to allow us to enter into that agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Senator makes a motion, Herbie
Second.
seconds, or Nicole, all in favor?
Aye.
And that's unanimous. And somebody needs to text Kagan and tell him he can come back into the, Daniel's going to text Kagan and tell him to come back into the picture. I took care of both those items right there. We'll wait for Kagan to get back. There he is. Welcome back.
That's a process. Daniel, you were food to go.
Yeah.
Just gonna-
Instead of good, it came out of food. Somebody else called that. We're food to go.
All right. Next is the, to approve the final adoption of the water resource ordinance that we've been discussing. I think we finally got it all ironed out. Is there any questions on that?
So, the minutes weren't wrong in any aspect in regards to this, but so tonight is where we would formally vote and adopt it, and then it gets put in place for next starting in September. Excuse me, starting in October.
Okay. All right, so we just need a motion to adopt this ordinance so we can put it in effect starting in October. Harvey makes a motion. Kagan second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Okay, anybody? Kagan left us again. Or he cut his life back on. He coming out of the dark?
Yes, sir. It got dark fast.
Okay, anybody else have anything before we may take up some executive session matters?
I had two follow-ups from last month's meeting. Did we have any progress on the lease on the lagoon from the Corps of Engineers?
Daniel, oh, excuse me. I'll let Daniel address it.
Yeah, I called and tried to make contact with the Army Corps of Engineers in Natchez, and they haven't contacted me back yet. I'll reach out to them again. But I left a message with their Secretary of Real Estate Matters, and just haven't made contact with him.
And the other,
But he is working on it.
the commercial appraisals for the old police building, police and fire building.
Jack, give us the one.
He has not given me.
We have one that we've engaged, and he is going to do one, and we're looking for the second commercial appraiser. And as well, Jack Sabley's the first one. Y'all all know Jack from his days at Mechanics Bank. He says that most people are getting out of the commercial side of appraisal, and it's getting harder to find it. He said because everybody wants to do the quick house for the real estates and the banks and stuff. So he said it's getting harder, and he actually was trying to find a name to give me of somebody, and I think the man that did the last one has since retired. And so but Jack is agreed to do one, and he should be getting on that probably this coming week. I think is what he told me. So, anything else?
Did Daniel ever find out about those derelict properties we've been asking about for a long time?
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
The derelict properties, the last ones.
I sent a letter out to the Ridge Street property that's been sold in a tax sale, and of course, our inspector put a notice on the property down Wagner Street, and it's been cleaned up. So I didn't send a letter to them because when I rode by there to check on it, it was already looking good. But I did send a letter to Ridge Street.
Donald.
Yeah, I was going. Nicole sent me one, and did we cite them? Do you know? Yeah, they have been cited by our police department.
Okay.
Trey went by, talked to them, gave him 4 days to make some improvements. He went back after 4 days, and it was worse than it was when he
Oh
went.
my gosh.
So
He was in the process of getting rid of one of the vans from the front yard when I cited him, but everything else still looked the same. So
and so he was cited and fined by our police department.
Okay.
So I forget that. Nicole, can you remember that address right offhand?
But I believe it's 522 Edgefield.
That's correct. 522 Edgefield. And you want to see a mess, drive by there.
Yes.
Are our next steps to call a hearing?
Yes. And I think we need to, I'll go ahead and give Daniel this address tonight and the owner, and we'll call him to a hearing. I mean, he's in violation of an ordinance, so he can't be cited.
Right.
So he was cited in that for violation of ordinance, but to get him to actually clean that property up, and Nicole can tell you neighbors all around him complain about.
We have
that
numerous
property.
complaints over a long period of time. And last time he cleaned up, but then it's right back to the same mess.
It is
I mean, it's not just stuff just sitting. I mean, it smells, it's terrible.
the neighbors say it's roaches that come out from there and everything else. So it's very, very bad. It is.
We need to make a motion to schedule a hearing.
Daniel, we schedule a hearing before we give him notice.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all know who he is.
Yeah,
I
we
can-
know it is. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, I would entertain a motion. His name is Ulysses Key, and the address is 522 Edgefield Street.
We sent him notice.
Nicole, you want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Yes, he's had notices before.
that's right. So,
Same person.
all right. Herbie seconds, all in favor.
Aye.
So we're
Hearing on October.
October 6th. So we're calling for a hearing on October 6th. Like I said,
Okay.
this is not something that's just happened, like Nicole says.
No.
It's- You clean up a little bit, then it gets worse the next time.
What about the Askew Street where, we've been talking about for 3 years, the grass is about 10 feet high in the empty lot at that sharp turn? We've talked about it several times. You guys keep
Oh,
telling
yeah.
me that maybe
The
there's
lady
a
on SQ, next to,
owner.
I can't think of her name. She was
Well,
She's probably dead by now, honestly. Because last time I called her, she was 90 years old. And she did answer the next time I called or returned my call. So I'm assuming I can't think.
Well, I will try to find out who the owner is now.
But for 3 years now,
Mhm.
and the neighbors are you know,
She,
wanting
yeah,
something done.
she did get it cut last year. I know at least once a week, and we'll find out. Except for nothing that's cute and curvy.
It's not
Next to
hard. I can
Judy,
find it.
Judy. Yeah, what's Judy's last name?
Watson.
What, Judy
I
Watson?
mean, I can find it on the map in there.
Yeah.
It's not that
Okay,
hard to do.
all right. I got that on my to-do list on that one.
I'll do it in the morning if I don't forget it.
Okay.
I did have a phone number for
Anything else? Okay, if not, I think we have some matters for executive session, so
Motion to consider executive session.
Kagan makes a motion, consider Herbie seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night, David.
it first.
Okay, and I'm going to end our recording.